Hey, Virgo, Mel, Intuitive Coach here, excited to bring in your September 2025 monthly reading. All right, Virgo, let's open up your energy field and take a look at what September has in store for you. Now, I am hearing the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the wisdom to know the difference. Perhaps that serenity prayer resonates with you. Maybe you've said it recently or you've read it. I also feel like you are inviting more peace into your world. There may have been a challenge or a struggle that you have faced, Virgo, but it feels like you've learned, and now you get to integrate what you've learned and choose to consciously interrupt any patterns, any cycles or habits that have held you back or kept you feeling limited in some way or even restricted. So let's dive in here and take a look at your key themes for the month. You have breakthrough. I love this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So I see acceptance happening here for you. There's an acceptance of perhaps a challenge, an ending, a struggle. It feels like there's a bit of surrender that's also taking place. And I feel like you are being granted the wisdom. You're turning those lessons. And this makes sense because you have soul lessons here and it has the word wisdom right on it. And this is about inner strength. You've gone through a lot. Some of you, karmic loops, cycles, relationships, or dynamics that you are meant to break out of. You are meant to evolve because of the struggle or the challenges. But some of you, they were very difficult to go through. It really tested your strength and your courage and your own willpower. Now, oftentimes on the strength card, you will see the lion and the woman, and the lion represents our wild self, right? The untamed version of us. And the woman represents compassion. And I feel like those two are coming together in a way where you are having compassion for the parts of yourself where you weren't able to control, right? Or maybe it felt like you were conditioned and sometimes you had felt a little bit lost within that compassion piece. Like, how can I have compassion for myself or how can I have compassion for others? But it feels like that is something you are really leaning into at this time, Virgo. And I feel like the turn of the season, also this being your season, Virgo. So happy birthday to those of you sun sign Virgos out there. It feels like this year for you, this next trip around the sun is very expansive. And that was a message that also came through in Leo's reading. And it's so interesting because I'm always getting Leo vibes in your reading and Virgo vibes in Leo's reading. So either we have a lot of cuspers here, or you may have some Leo placements in your own chart, or perhaps you have dealt with a Leo or are currently, connecting with a Leo. But I see here that you are someone who may be a spiritual teacher. You may have a story to tell. This is about wisdom. It's giving me Hierophant energy here where you could be a mentor, or perhaps there is an important teacher that has entered or is entering into your life. Now, teachers can show up in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Teachers can be our own children. Teachers can be, our partners in our relationships. They can be our teachers in school as well as, traditional. Some of you may be connecting to a healer or an advisor. And I feel like you are also here to step into that teacher role at some point when you are ready. Now, the breakthrough feels like there's spiritual enlightenment. That's the message I'm getting, is spiritual enlightenment. You are recognizing what's not working. You're recognizing a pattern or an area of your life that is unsettling. We are creatures of habit. And I see the creature of habit showing up with the devil, creatures of comfort, creatures of, instant gratification. We tend to veer away from anything that is going to cause us pain. But sometimes subconsciously, we are not aware with the devil here that we are choosing to show up in ways that mimic perhaps a past behavior or conditioning, or even a defense mechanism that we have learned very early on to protect ourselves in some way. And what I see here is you're breaking that mold. You are leaning into, maybe you've heard of plasticity, right, within the mind. And I see that you are reprogramming. You're able to tell a new story versus replaying the old one out in your head over and over again. And there is a major realization coming through, Virgo, and it's hitting you right on your crown chakra. It feels like this is a spiritual epiphany, is what I'm feeling here. Now you have advancement, a moment of truth and victory. So I love the breakthrough coming in after some major soul lessons that you have endured, either in your career, in your family life. Some of you, this has been health. I'm getting health struggles, health complications. You have signs and symbols here, which is about spirit communicating with you through your body. Our body is one of our biggest intuitive voices because our body keeps score. Maybe you've heard of that book, The Body Keeps Score. Our body remembers sometimes what our mind forgets. And I'm also seeing here you connecting. Virgo, you are showing up in the spotlight here this month. This is your month to really step into who you are meant to be. And if you have been ignoring the signs and the symbols, I feel like you're not turning a blind eye any longer, because oftentimes we have this very human experience where we don't always want to see the things that we're unwilling to see or not ready to see, and we may turn a blind eye to them. And I feel like you're getting honest with yourself and you're saying, okay, is this intuition or is this fear? And I've been talking about this a lot because this is a big question. And to me, the way that I define the difference is intuition feels expansive within your body, within your heart. It feels like you can expand based on the intuitive guidance and nudging. Fear feels very restrictive. Fear feels the opposite here. And also intuition can be more subtle, but also broader, allowing you to flow into the energies, where fear can be singularly focused here on one thing, and it feels very, very restricted. And you may even notice your body responding to the fears, such as tightness of the chest. It can be a closed throat chakra, clenching of the hands or the jaws, picking at our fingernails. And what those physiological signs do, Virgo, is it sends that signal to your brain that there's danger. And then we go into fight or flight. Our nervous system responds. And I see that you are being guided to pay attention to the signs and symbols that are showing up within your own body, showing up in the world around you, because you may be seeing numbers, you may be seeing messages, and you may notice them as a sign, but you may not do anything with them. And I feel like you are integrating here by taking what you are seeing, maybe through your dreams, because a lot of us receive messages through our dream state, and it can even be through our daydreams as well. So do pay attention to the synchronicities that are showing up for you, the subtle downloads and messages that create this expansion within your energy field. Because spirit is talking to you. Your guides are letting you know, for one, that you're not alone, and for two, that you're not stuck in this cage. You're not bonded or tethered, even though it feels that way at times. I feel like you are able to liberate yourself from whatever it is that has restricted you. You have coins, numbers, synchronicities, feathers, and some of you may be now utilizing what those messages are bringing in. Perhaps you're asking, okay, I have seen this animal in my dream. What does that represent? And many times animals represent our own strengths through borrowing the characteristics that that animal has. So taking a look at some of these cues and these symbols and then applying them to your life, or knowing that you have support in more than one way, can be beneficial when it comes to breaking out of the devil's grip, which I do see here in your reading. Now, you have the turning point, the Chariot, at the bottom of the deck. So this is when things really start to move forward for you. Instead of feeling like you are going backwards here, now the Chariot it's fast forward. It's the fastest moving energy here, but it's also about our emotional drive and feeling in control of our emotions. And some of you may have felt like your emotions were dragging you under. You may have felt like you were drowning here in emotions or in direction, like you weren't quite sure. You couldn't quite see the top, or you couldn't quite see up out of a situation. Not when that devil is trying to drown you and bring you down. But the Chariot is reminding you that there's a direction here that you are moving into. I feel like you are setting the intention, you're setting the goal, and victory is ahead. So you may also be traveling. And I read the other day that oftentimes the last couple of days of traveling, or let's say you take a staycation, or you just take time to separate yourself from perhaps the struggle, the challenge, whatever the devil is for you, if you take some time to separate from it, you gain this clarity. And oftentimes people make big life choices or changes, or there's big breakthroughs or epiphanies in the last couple of days that you may be vacationing or traveling or taking that space, because you've given yourself the time to really tune into your own intuitive awareness. And I see that there is a turning point coming in. And if you look closely here at the illustration, Virgo, there is a girl that's in the woods, and she's coming out of the woods and into the light. There's poppy fields and there's green around her. And yes, there are mountains ahead, but the mountains are nothing compared to what she's gone through. If anything, though, the mountains are going to feel significant because the woods have given her the strength, the courage, the knowledge to be able to climb those mountains with more ease, with more awareness, with more perseverance. So I see that, yes, there still could be some things up ahead, which we're all going to face challenges and struggles from time to time, but it's how you move through those struggles and challenges which defines you. And I see that you are no longer that old version of you. You are more mature. You are more evolved. You have more tools that you are able to use. And I'm getting here the internal safety system. So this tells me that internally you have been finding ways, right, through spiritual tools here, through the soul lessons, the signs and symbols, in how to calm your nerves, how to reduce anxiety. Maybe you've been doing a bit of breath work. For others of you, you've been maybe getting out in nature, going for a walk, maybe dropping into your senses. I've been talking a lot about this lately because Virgo, I feel like Virgo season is really reminding us to drop into the body, and you may be guided to drop into your body through activating your five senses. And I've shared this, I think, in Leo's reading as well. But if you can pause for a moment right here, right now, even if you're busy, maybe you're doing the dishes or feeding the dog or sweeping the floor or making your bed, or perhaps you're listening to this at work, you're multitasking, which many of us do. I want you to just pause for a moment if you can. And I want you to look at your surroundings. Use your sense of vision here, and I want you to notice what you see in front of you. Next, I want you to take in a deep breath. What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you feel? Right? Are you sitting on something? Are your feet hitting the ground? Perhaps your hand is touching a pen. Maybe your elbow is leaned up against a comfy piece of furniture. You know, drop into your five senses, and I want you to really practice that technique throughout your day, because we often get so much in our headspace where we are figuring problems out and we're trying to logically come up with solutions, and we're learning and we're growing, and we sometimes get in autopilot, where this is a month about listening to the body. And I see here that some of you may be getting outside more. Bottom of the deck here, this deck, you have adventure. So this kind of talks about the Chariot as well. I have a feeling some of you are traveling, maybe taking a little bit of a getaway this month. Maybe it's for your birthday if you're celebrating a birthday. But of course, this reading is good for Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, any placement of Virgo that resonates with you. But I see that there is a new opportunity ahead. And this is a spiritual quest, meaning this is something internally that is shifting the way that you view the world, the way that you view yourself. I'm also getting here with your solar plexus highlighted, which I'll share with you in just a moment. I feel like you're not letting world fears or external fears hold you back. Perhaps that's part of I accept the things I cannot change, but I have the wisdom to know the difference here. And maybe that difference is in between intuition and fear. So some of you are traveling. You could be expanding globally. I'm getting international as well. I'm actually seeing a world, like a globe of the world in front of me. Some of you may even have an old globe. But this is about excursions, world travel, and exciting, adventurous opportunities and invitations that are showing up for you in the month of September. I'm also getting into October. So you could be going to a music festival, perhaps a wedding. Some of you are going on a hiking trip. Maybe you're wanting to go backpacking or spending time outside, kayaking, paddleboarding. Maybe you have a garden and your garden is overflowing with beautiful fruits and vegetables. So there's a lot of really amazing things that are taking place out in Mother Nature, and Spirit is reminding you to get your toes wet, to get your feet in the grass, and to touch a tree. Touch a tree. Okay, let's dive into the tarot. You have some very powerful cards coming up here. I'm just going to jump ahead and highlight the three major arcanas with the Chariot at the bottom of the deck, but you have the Sun and the Devil. This is something coming out into the light. This is the devil. And you see here, this devil always looks a bit creepy, doesn't he? He represents repression, the repressed parts of ourselves. Now, the devil is our shadow self. And oftentimes that shadow is formed to try to protect us. When we start to unravel, when we start to remove the blocks, the boulders that have kept us feeling limited or lacking confidence, oftentimes the sun represents our confidence center as well, our ego even, our joy, our pleasure. I feel like there is a truth that is coming out for you. And once as the saying goes, the cat is out of the bag, I feel like everything shifts here. So this could be an inner truth that you've kept on lockdown because perhaps you felt like if people knew or seen this side of you, that you would be unlovable. Or perhaps you've been working so immensely on your own shadow that you're ready to come to the light. You're ready to be seen. You're ready to be acknowledged. You're ready to be heard. And not only are you ready, you deserve it. You are worthy of it. And when the devil shows up, this can be anything that we consume that becomes an obsession, and it becomes toxic to the point where it takes over our lives. And I see that you are bringing it to the light and you're saying, okay, devil, I love you. I love you. I accept that you are part of my past, that you've tried to protect me, that at times I was so fearful that I didn't know what to do. So I ran, so I avoided, so I numbed, so I checked out. That's a very human thing to do, right? Because the word devil spelled backwards is lived. And we all live a human experience where the devil is going to come in from time to time. In fact, the shadow part of us is always going to be here, but we don't have to conscious or subconsciously live out that shadow in our lives. We can consciously choose to interrupt it by bringing something to the light and choosing to live and lead from that light space. And that's exactly why the devil and the sun are here. So I'm really enjoying this so far. Let's look at your chakra that is standing out for you this month. You have the third chakra, which is known as the solar plexus. It is located in your belly region. It is bright yellow. Some of you may be connected to the color yellow this month. It could be sunflowers. It could be eating bananas, eating yellow fruits or veggies. It can be getting out in the sun, right? Vitamin D is going to be so beneficial for those of you who can get outside, and also connecting to wearing the color yellow or working with yellow crystals such as citrine. Now it says here, I trust myself fully, because maybe trust was severed. Self-trust, trust in others, trust in humanity. I will not allow fear or doubt to hold me back from doing what I am here to do. That's the devil, fear and doubt. I have confidence, belief, and conviction in my abilities and goals. I welcome questioning by others, as this gives me a chance to clarify my truth, ideas, and philosophies. I trust in a higher power, and I am open to new challenges. I want you to write that down, or I want you to let that fully sink in, because your solar plexus is highlighted here. Some of you may have had gut issues, digestive issues, liver. The liver sits in this region as well. Perhaps there's a big detox, a big cleanse. You may have even had parasites for some of you who have struggled with that gut piece. Of course, seek out medical professional guidance, but I see that you could be strengthening your core. This core or abdomen area could be feeling tighter. You could be feeling more strong in your core. There's more confidence here. So solar plexus energy is highlighted. So the minor arcana that's coming out for you, you have the energy of privilege, the 10 of Pentacles. This is most people's dream. It is being able to have the life that you want for yourself that feels aligned with your mission, your purpose. But on the outer world, you have the financial means and the physical well-being to be able to actively participate in your life, where you're able to bring more joy and more abundance in. That's what the sun represents. And so a lot of you are taking a look at long-term goals, but you are being the change right here, right now. Even if this is a 10-year goal, maybe you're looking at retirement. Some of you are working on connecting and building bridges with family members, or maybe even focusing on your own self-healing due to perhaps family dynamics or even dynamics in the workplace, because this may have to do with other people. But the 10s represent endings, bringing in new beginnings. And I feel like you are on the path towards a new beginning. And I'm hearing Lao Tzu's famous quote, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And it feels like this year is so significant for you, as in this turning of the cycle, this new age, whatever age you are turning. You may want to add up the numbers. There could be significance in that number as well, since we have the signs and symbols coming through. Now, some of you could even be like maybe you add up to a 6. That's coming to mind here. So perhaps you are, for example, maybe you're turning 51. 5 and 1 equals 6. 6 is the number of harmony, of loyalty, responsibility, problem solving. So take a look at your number. Drop it below. Let me know what age. Well, you don't have to let me know what age you're turning if you don't want to. You can, but break it down to a single digit. Drop it in the comment section below. I would love to hear, and I will let you know as well if you're unaware, what that numerology piece means for you. But the 10 of Pentacles, Virgo, is legacy. You know what you're doing right now, don't you? You are creating a legacy for those that you work with, your clients or your coworkers, your children if you have them, your siblings, even your own parents. There's a message here of breaking out of a cycle. Some of you, this is an addictive cycle that has been going on. Maybe you have a family member that is struggling with addictions or struggling with pain or some sort of shadow aspect. And I see here that there's also volunteer, something around volunteer or having the resources that you need to be able to focus perhaps on something that feels more volunteer work, feels more like you are able to move into this arena with more ease. Some of you could even be retiring soon. And I just feel like you are feeling good about the choices or the new direction that you are heading in. There's a new mindset here. I feel like there's peace of mind, right? There's serenity, right? With that serenity prayer, that may be something you want to print out. You may want to print out that serenity prayer, post it on your refrigerator, carry it with you, read it from time to time. There may be some other words or other phrases or other verses that really jump out to you. And if so, if you know that verse by heart, let me know. Drop it below. Now you have the Knight of Cups. This is you moving towards what fulfills that beautiful heart of yours. This is you bravely stepping into a voyage, a soul quest here. The Knight of Cups is open to emotional experiences, even if those emotional experiences end in tragedy. All right. I'm not saying they're going to, not at all. But what that means is there is a vulnerability required, knowing that you are trusting in the unknown, because you can see that he's on this voyage and he is moving ahead by the stars that are lighting up that sky. And in tarot, the stars represent a brighter future. And I see here that it is worth moving into the energy of love instead of fearing that the tragedy may occur at some point. You're not focused on that tragedy. You're not focused on the loss. You're not focused on, the what if they leave, or what if they cross over, or, you're not focused on all of the what ifs. If and when that time comes, you'll deal with it then. But I feel like your heart is expanding, and this is your intuitive knowing that is guiding you. Now you have here the Page of Pentacles, and you have the Queen of Swords. I'm loving this. We have Libra energy here, which is also on the other side of you. We have Leo and we have Libra on each side, Virgo, of your astrological wheel. And I see that some of you could be closely connected to Libra vibes, but you have this perhaps fear of perfectionism. That could be partially why the devil is here. Perfectionism is ultimately a fear of failure, a fear of messing up, a fear of externally not being validated in a way that, other people may think that we're a hot mess. If we're not perfect, they may not take us seriously. They may not feel like we are, knowing what we're doing. They might look at us as an imposter, or it could trigger or bring up some childhood wounds. And I see that that is something you've been heavily working on releasing or letting go. This is something I personally struggled with, and I still do from time to time. because as a child, I went through a lot of highs and lows, a lot of unknowns, and I never knew which version I was going to get from my caregivers. And they were emotionally absent, physically absent. There was addictions and alcohol and abuse. And so I had learned to put up these walls, right? These barriers where I repress parts of myself because I didn't know whom I needed to become at that time. So catastrophe didn't happen. And so I repressed my gifts. I turned inward into books and, my own internal life where I disconnected from others because I couldn't trust them. And I also gained this sense of hyper independence where I was an only child and I had to rely on myself. So I grew up way too quickly. And I also took on this role of caregiver, of people pleaser, all of the roles, right? So I've had a lot of work that I've been doing on myself, because when we are adults, we then have the opportunity to take accountability for how we want to live our lives. Because when we're children, we are modeled that example by our situations and our circumstances around us. But as an adult, you have the ability to say, I don't have to live and lead my life in this constant state of fight or flight. I don't have to constantly repress my emotions, drink them, numb them, shop them, drug them, whatever it is here that you are avoiding, numbing, or escaping from. You have the conscious awareness here through the mind by reprogramming and sharing perhaps your story, because the Queen of Swords is the queen of communication. She is able to effectively be the storyteller. She's able to get through to people in ways that resonate with others because she also has been there, right? She's gone through the challenges, and you may be here to help others in a very, very big way, Virgo. And you have a new opportunity coming through. The Page of Pentacles represents news. It represents honesty. You're getting honest with yourself, and I feel that is also signaling a shift in the world around you. There could be an invitation or an offer coming through. This could be long term. All right. It's connected to that 10 of Pentacles here. Some of you may even have some, again, childhood. There may be children that you're dealing with, adult children, young children. I feel like there are new ways of handling some difficult situations, hence the eggs, because eggs can be fragile. And I feel like someone may be in a fragile or vulnerable state, but the Page of Pentacles is hardworking. He's a self-investor. This is an individual who's not afraid to learn new skills, training. This could be someone who's very practical. But there could be a job offer coming in here, or something that has to do with land, real estate, or the physical, tangible world that's connected and tied to the 10 of Pentacles. So you have some powerful energy, Virgo, powerful indeed. Now, when it comes to health as well, we've talked a little bit about that solar plexus area, digestion issues, can even be chronic flare-ups where indigestion shows up. There can be sensitivities, allergies with the gut, maybe gluten sensitivities, and I'm even getting with the devil, this could be some foods that may affect your chemical makeup. Okay, that's interesting. So foods that may impact how you think. And I mean, that shouldn't be news, right? But certain foods can cause us to feel more drowsy. Certain foods chemically respond in our bodies in a way that we can feel brain fog. And I feel also there can be addiction. Some of you may have struggled with food addictions here, or maybe overeating. Maybe there were food sensitivities that you've had. I'm even getting like purging. Some of you may have struggled with an eating disorder here. Again, take that as it resonates, but I see that you have come face to face with something and you have the ability to move in a direction that really feels, again, expansive, because that's what your intuition wants. That's what it is guiding you towards. If you look at this guy's arms, they're spread wide open. He is saying to Mother Earth, he's saying to God, Goddess, the universe, whatever you want to define your higher power as, he's saying, I accept, this is me. I'm going to show up truthfully, honestly, in my integrity, and I'm going to move towards this heart expansive energy, and I'm going to feel more confident, and I'm going to truly trust myself, and I'm not going to let the devil hold me back from doing what I am here to do. So let's look at career, finances, abundance, money. Well, perhaps some of you have felt a bit stuck. Maybe the devil has to do with your finances, your career, because there may have been an area where you didn't feel completely fulfilled. You could have an emotional attachment to a job that is no longer serving you. You are being guided at this time to explore your wants and needs. Consider a change. Not even consider it. I feel like you are actioning that change with the Knight of Cups here. But first, it requires getting honest with yourself that for one, you're not happy, and for two, you're not stuck, that you have the ability here to move forward. And oftentimes what I have realized in my own life, when I am struggling, it means I am resisting change. It means that I'm trying to hang on to an old paradigm that used to work at one point but no longer is working, or I am being guided to level up in some way. But what's our first reaction? Oftentimes it's based in our fears, and we tend to hang on and we say, wait a second, I don't want things to change. I got to keep doing them the way that I've been doing them because it's been working in a way where sometimes we think it's working, but it's not. It just becomes our comfort zone, and our comfort zone can actually become quite uncomfortable. And I see here that, you are being guided to make changes even if you are scared. Now, we have the unexpected here. Some of you may have had some unexpected bills. Perhaps there was an automobile issue or accident that had occurred and you've had to pay. It says there may have been a loss, right? You may be preparing for unexpected financial loss. It says here the financial crisis may be out of your control, but you can still control the outcome. Is that the serenity prayer or what? Right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. So something here is out of your control, but you are now able to move forward here and control the outcome. Deal with things ahead of time. You're trying to prepare for the unexpected here, but I also see that you're trusting. This isn't foolish or blind trust. It feels like you got that logic of the Queen of Swords here. You are finding solutions. You are expanding your resources here, or reaching out to different resources is what I'm getting with career. And lastly here, you have work smart. You have Einstein here, which is reminding you that it's time to clean house personally and professionally. Start with a clean palette. You may be guided right now to stick to basic needs when it comes to spending. Put some money aside if you're able to, because you have that 10 of Pentacles here. Many of you are about to embark upon a new path that creates new income. You may have multiple income sources, Virgo, that you are working on bringing in to help compensate or to help you towards maybe a long-term goal. And sometimes we as humans make it harder than it has to be when the solutions are actually quite simple. And that devil can come up and throw a wrench in your plans, right? And sometimes it's that mind. Sometimes it's we've talked about the devil here. You know what that is in your own life. But Einstein is reminding you to not make it harder than it has to be. All right, so there is a happy ending. There's the sun. There's the light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to career. And if you feel like you are buried in debt, or if you feel like you have struggled here with investments, or perhaps there's even been possessions that have blocked genuine connections or genuine bonds, maybe possessions or materialism. It can even be money hungry, status, someone's status. or someone's work may have been blocking connections here. I feel like there could be that truth coming to the light, and by that cat being out of the bag, you're able to address an issue honestly and move forward here in integrity. All right, let's look at love. We have the snake. Okay. The snake also came up in Leo's reading. I tell you, you guys, there's something there with Leo. If that's you, it's not going to be everyone, of course, but let me know who's vibing with the Leo here. Now, competition and enemy. The other woman looking over your shoulder. You're not going to settle for less than you deserve. And if you have been, that's going to be a cold splash of water in your face, meaning you deserve more. And what are you doing? Are we people pleasing? Are we staying in a toxic cycle or a pattern because we feel like we have to? We don't have a way out. I feel like you are being guided here to expand that heart space and trust that you are going to be taken care of. You have to put one foot in front of the other, like Lao Tzu says. And I see here that you also deserve to be someone's first choice, not their second choice, not their backup choice, not their option. You deserve someone to choose you. So if you have been caught in a situation where you've been the other woman, or perhaps someone has chose work, or they've chose another devil, right? If there's a third party in the energy, I feel like the truth is that needs to get addressed. Otherwise, there's going to be resentments, there's going to be bitterness, there's going to be toxicity that may stem because of some repressed emotions, and it could cause the ship to sink. And I see that the truth is you deserve to be seen and recognized and come together in union if that is what you both want to do. And if it's not happening, if you're not vibing, maybe honoring yourself and the other person by walking away. Now, you have the ship here. The ship is about cutting ties, moving on. You've received what you've needed. You've received that lesson that we've talked about here, Virgo. You get to program in a new way. This is that neuroplasticity. This is the brilliance of the mind, that Queen of Swords energy, where you get to say, well, logically, this is the truth of the situation here. And wishful thinking is not going to help me here, or fantasizing or romanticizing. No, that's not going to help. I see the light. I see the truth in a situation here, and I am going to arrive where I need to arrive. And lastly, for those of you that are single and you're looking for love, I mean, we have here an offer, and it's interesting because we have the devil. Oftentimes when we're single and we meet someone new, it means that we need to adjust our lives because we're used to doing things our way. We're used to coming and going, eating dinner whenever. We're used to that individual, independent lifestyle. And when you meet someone, you come together, which can mean that there is some old shadows, maybe some old fears or some patterns that you may be guided to break out of, to compromise, to meet someone halfway here and to show up in this relationship dynamic. And I feel like there is someone who may be very interested in you, or you are going to meet someone here. And there's a flirty energy. Sometimes that devil can be flirty. It can be playful. It can be, playing here, like knock, knock, who's there, and kind of seeing where something is going to go. You don't have to immediately be thinking long term, although that may be what you're dating for. Maybe you're dating for long term. But I see here, don't let the devil consume you. Don't let the main focus be like, is this my person? The sun is reminding you to have fun here. The Page of Pentacles is saying, yeah, invest in getting to know each other first. Invest in becoming friends, because this is about dating each other and, showing interest. It can be that honeymoon phase, but I still feel like you're being real with each other. And it may not be the hot and heavy sparks that perhaps you once had, but sometimes that's a good thing, because it means that you're building something that feels more reliable. And instead of it fizzling out quickly because it came in so hot, this can be a slow burn that increases over time. And maybe that's that longevity that you truly seek and desire. All right. Lastly, you have the destroyer. Whoa, okay, you guys. This is the archetype. Look at him. He's connected to the devil in some way. So let's find out how. I'm going to find it in the guidebook. One moment. All right. The destroyer is the savage, the unexpected, the rejected. The destroyer is the final of the three archetypes in the trio of existence. Has necessary yet painful work to do in the world. Culturally, we have an aversion to endings and we hang on to permanence as a signifier of success. Yet the destroyer pulls the rug out from underneath relationships, jobs, homes, and all forms of security. It's the part of us that wants things to end. Its painful orientation is to uncover our true purpose. The destroyer does not let us linger long in comforts, as it knows not much happens in that realm with its piercing eyes. It seeks out stagnancy from a distance, and the rest becomes history. In the old myths, this is the moment when heads begin to roll, the ground opens up, and castles crumble. Hold on for the ride. The destroyer has arrived. Okay, wow, that is intense. Now, we don't have a tower here. We have the devil, and this tells me this is something within you, the rejected part of yourself. Now, consider Picasso's statement. Every act of creation is first of all an act of destruction. I love Picasso, right? Every act of creation is first of all an act of destruction. There's the endings and beginnings, right? That's the 10 energy that we see here. In old tales, the destroyer sometimes appears as a black dog. Other times it takes the form of gods and goddesses such as Shiva, Kali, and Apophis. When I was a young girl, I don't tell this story too often, but when I was a young girl, I did see this dog, this destroyer energy. And I remember it scaring me to my core. It was something that shook me, and I remember immediately connecting to spirit because I've always been very spiritually in tuned in my own inner world, as that was my safe space. My saving grace was my spiritual guides and my team, and being able to see things that could help me, but also seeing things that scared the daylights out of me. And one of them was the destroyer, that so-called dog. And I've realized now as an adult, it is not to be feared per se. It is part of our experience. It is part of the shadow, the devil that we've spoke of here. When this shows up as the light aspect, it's a swift and precise blow that redirects our life, like a clean cut. When you think of, this reminds me, the other weekend I was fishing, and we come back and we fillet the fish, and it reminds me of trying to cut a fish with a dull fillet knife. You're going to make a mess, and the meat's just going to go everywhere. It's just not pretty. It's a swift, clean fillet if you have a sharp knife. And that's what I'm thinking of here, is a clean cut through something here. And the dark aspect is self-destruction. It is negativity or an unwillingness to rebuild. It's like trying to cut something with that dull knife, and it's just creating a mess, and it's just not fun. And this is about self-destruction through addictive, avoidant behaviors or patterns. If you want to go further into this energy, Virgo, check out Robert Rauschenberg's Erased Deconing drawing. Okay, that's one I haven't heard. And also, I am very much familiar with Shiva and Kali, not so much Apophis, but for those of you that are wanting this rebirth and you're fully ready to show up in everything that it has to offer, even if this means that your life is up-leveled in some way, work with the goddess Shiva, Kali, or Apophis. That is what I have for you, Virgo. This is big. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I really enjoyed tapping into your energy. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share, like, subscribe. And if you are interested in a personal reading or entering into the free reading giveaway or even signing up for the monthly newsletter, the newsletter only comes out once a month. It is jam-packed, full of juicy tidbits, healthy recipes, the tarot scope where I pull a card for each of you, and also my favorite recommendations. And if you have something that you are launching or putting out into the world, let me know. Drop me a line, send me an email. I would love to showcase your work in my next newsletter. So thank you again, Virgo. Happy, happy birthday to those of you celebrating, and I am sending you lots of love.